Have you ever felt like the internet just knows you? Well, it's not magic and it's not a mind reader. It's actually one of the most basic and honestly most misunderstood bits of web technology out there, the HTTP cookie. These tiny little pieces of data are the secret engine that makes the whole modern personalized web go round. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see how they really work.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You're doing some online shopping, you throw a few things in your cart, then life happens. You get distracted, close the browser. You come back 2 days later and poof, everything is still sitting there waiting for you. That little bit of magic, that's a cookie doing its job. You see, here's the thing you have to understand. Without cookies, the web has a terrible memory, like zero short-term memory whatsoever. The protocol it's built on, HTTP, is what we call stateless. That just means every single time you click on something, it's a totally new event. The server has no clue who you are or what you just did 1 second ago. It's like trying to have a conversation with someone who forgets you the moment you stop talking. And that's the exact problem cookies were invented to solve.
So, how do you give a forgetful web a memory? Well, the solution turned out to be brilliantly simple. The cookie. Let's break down how this tiny piece of data lets a website remember you from one click to the next.
So what is a cookie, really? At its core, it's just a small packet of information. A website server sends it over to your browser, and your browser just hangs on to it. Then, every time you visit another page on that same site, your browser sends that little packet of info right back. You can think of it like a digital name tag that you show every time you talk to the server.
Let's walk through that digital handshake. Okay, so first, you type in your username and password and hit login. The server checks them, and if everything looks good, it sends a response back to your browser. Now, tucked inside that response is a little instruction called a set cookie header. It basically contains a unique ID card for your session. Your browser sees this, saves it, and from then on, with every single request it makes to that server, it flashes that ID card, saying, hey, remember me, I'm the one who's already logged in.
And this super simple system lets cookies do 3 main things for us. First up is session management. That's what keeps you logged in, holds on to your shopping cart, all that good stuff. Then you've got personalization. This is how a site remembers you, like dark mode, or that you prefer to see it in a different language. And finally, there's the big one we're going to get to in a minute, tracking. This is all about watching and analyzing what you do online.
But here's something you might not know. Cookies are tiny. I mean, really tiny. Most web browsers limit a single cookie to just about 4 kilobytes of data. And that really tells you what they're for. They aren't meant for massive data storage. They're designed to hold just a little piece of state, like your user ID or a single preference.
But you know, this simple little technology has a bit of a dark side. Not all cookies are created equal, which brings us to the great divide. The helpful cookies versus the creepy cookies. Because while some are totally essential, others have raised some pretty serious privacy flags, making them a classic double-edged sword. Okay, so the big difference here is between first-party and third-party cookies. First-party cookies are set by the actual website you're visiting. These are the helpful ones, the good guys. They remember your login, they keep your cart safe. Third-party cookies, on the other hand, are set by a totally different website than the one in your address bar. Think about an ad network that has a banner on the news site you're reading. Those are the cookies that can follow you from site to site. And this is where things can get a little unsettling. The privacy issue really comes down to this. Because that third-party cookie gets sent back to its home server from every single website you visit that has its code, that server can start to build a really detailed profile of your browsing habits. Ever looked up a pair of shoes on one site and then suddenly you're seeing ads for those exact shoes everywhere you go online? Yep, that's third-party tracking cookies in action. All right, so given these risks, how do we make cookies safer? I mean, are we just stuck with this? Not at all. Developers actually have a few really important tools they can use to lock down cookies and help protect our data. The first line of defense is something called the secure attribute. When a developer adds this little flag to a cookie, it's an instruction to the browser, only send this cookie back over an encrypted HTTPS connection. Never, ever send it over a plain, unsecured connection where someone could be listening in. Think of it like putting your data inside an armored car for its trip across the internet. Next up, we've got the HTTP-only attribute, and this one is a huge deal for security. It basically puts a big do not touch sign on the cookie that's visible to any JavaScript code running on the page. This helps stop malicious scripts, maybe ones that got injected into the site, from stealing your session cookie and hijacking your entire account. With this attribute, only the server can actually read the cookie. And then there's the same site attribute. This one's a little more complex, but it's incredibly powerful. The best way to think of it is like a bouncer at a club door. Its whole job is to look at a request coming in and decide whether or not to let that request cookie come along with it. It's the gatekeeper.
So this balancer has 3 basic rules it can follow. Strict is the toughest. The cookie is only sent if the request is coming from the exact same site, period. This is perfect for stuff you really want to keep secure, like online banking. Lax is now the default in most browsers. It's a bit more relaxed. It lets the cookie come along if you click a link from an external site that takes you to the original one. And then there's none, which basically says the balancer is off duty. The cookie can be sent with any cross-site request, which you need for things like embedded ads, but it absolutely must be paired with that secure attribute we talked about.
Now, this whole evolution in cookie security isn't just happening in code. It's part of a much, much bigger global conversation about data privacy, new regulations, and who should ultimately be in control of your information online.
Over the last few years, game-changing regulations like Europe's GDPR and the California Consumer Privacy Act have totally rewritten the rulebook. These laws basically force websites to be upfront about how they use cookies, and this is the crucial part, to get your direct permission before they drop any non-essential cookies onto your device. That's the reason you now have to click through those Accept Cookies banners on pretty much every website you visit.
And that brings us right to this moment. We are smack in the middle of a massive industry shift. The major web browsers are now actively blocking third-party tracking cookies by default, thanks to both all that legal pressure and a huge demand from users like us for more privacy. The old Wild West era of just tracking people everywhere they go online, yeah, that's coming to an end.
So we're at a real crossroads. Cookies gave us this amazing, personalized web, but it often came at the expense of our privacy. As these invasive tracking cookies start to disappear, we're left staring at a huge question. How do we build what's next? How do we create a web that respects our privacy but can still support the personalized experiences and, just as importantly, the free, ad-supported content we all rely on? The tech giants are already scrambling for an answer, but the next chapter of the internet really hangs in the balance.